The first step is to design the template. Here I am using a copy of a photograph of Riggo that Laura sent to me. I trace around the perimeter of the photograph and then work on where I will add my cut lines. Next, I transfer this template onto a plain piece of paper using a light box. From here, I make a color copy of my design for Laura to approve. Once approved, I number each piece and then print the template onto cardstock. Then I very carefully cut out each piece using pattern shears. These special scissors have a third blade that removes 1/32 inch strip of paper from around each piece. This allows for the thickness of the foil and solder that will eventually surround each piece of glass. An additional copy of the template is set up in a jig that will be used to tightly hold the cut and foiled pieces of glass together for soldering. Once all of my pattern pieces are cut out, I very carefully trace each piece onto the correct color of glass. Next, I will cut out each piece of glass and then grind the edges to remove any residual glass that I couldn't get out or couldn't get off with the cutter. And the grinder will also smooth the edges of the glass. Once all of my pieces are cut out and the edges are ground, each piece of glass is washed with soap and water and then dried using a microfiber towel. Next, each piece of glass will be foiled with a copper tape, and then the tape is burnished to the glass. This tape is what the solder will adhere to when I eventually solder the piece. The pieces are now placed in the jig and soldered together on both sides. Once soldered, the panel is thoroughly washed and dried and is now ready for framing. I miter cut zinc cane using a handsaw and construct my own hangers as you see here. The hangers are soldered into the zinc frame and the panel is secured into the frame. The frame is then soldered at each miter joint on both sides of the panel. Lastly, each solder line of the panel that touches the frame is soldered to the frame on both sides. The panel is washed again, and for this particular piece, I added a black patina to the solder. That just turns the silver solder black. One last wash and dry, and then Riggo is waxed, a hanging chain is attached, and he is ready to be shipped.